Hey guys, and welcome back to another live stream in the lead up to the AFLW team list at 6:20 or so. Deciding to start this one a little bit later at 5:45, just so that it is around 35-40 minutes in the lead up to team sheet rather than the 50 or so minutes that we had previously. But anyway, before we jump into this, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so that you know when I upload or go live. And as Corey says here, at least we get some debuts of this all week. You would have seen, some of you would have been able to see the trade targets video that I put up just before this live stream, sorry. And yeah, I think it is, it's finally good that we're getting the cash gen because we know we're going to need the cash gen. I actually haven't done or recorded at least my team reveal for this week, but just looking quietly here at sort of my team and looking at it, I think I'm probably going to still need another, what's that? That's about 2 million or so in that three positions. Going to need another 400k. They're going to need a little bit more cash there, probably another 700k. I'm probably still going to need, just looking at it here, probably another 600k, 700k, and I will switch to the screen to sort of show you what I'm looking at in terms of this. So I was just counting here the F4, 5, and 6 and going, there's probably needs about 900k per the F4, 5, and then 300k for the F6. Thinking about it, that's 2.1 mil. And out of those players, they're Stone, Bogue, and Harris. I think we're sitting somewhere around about that marker, might be just shy. Let's just double check this. 682 plus 659 plus the 747 gets us 2.08 million. So that probably covers that off. Scholes to Harris is about Scholes, not Scholes to Harris, but Scholes to the likes of Strom is about 130k, if my memory is right. Let me just double check that. Yep, 130k or so. So that's another 130k that I can probably get out of Dunlop, but I'd need to get it this week because Dunlop has had a stinker. We know that. And then Fish and Greaves gets close to the likes of Riddell, but probably not. More so gets me to probably, you would almost say, Garner in 2 weeks' time or after this week. So that means that I still have to find room to get Pressbarkers and Bowers up to someone. And then also get Serene Watson to Tilly Lucas Rod. So that's still another probably 600k doing the math this week. And yes, Garner is back this week, which is great. But also it's great timing as well for us non-owners and those that need to sort of upgrade our side, because I did say it in the trade targets. I think she gets managed in this week, and I think she probably goes 100 or so, a flat 100, which means that she'll drop 130k or so. And that'll also mean that her break even next week, if we just look at the likes of Garner here, let's just look at her. Oopsie, that's giving me the Greek alphabet there. I've got forward classified. That's why it was stuffing up. As you can see, 150 break even. If she has another stinker, she goes down 260k, but we're projecting more so that she's going to fall somewhere in this 133k. And if we do look at Garner herself as well, and we look at it here, you'll see that that 130, I think, goes out of her system, then the 158 as well. So she is probably still going to have a high break even for the next couple of weeks. So I think that, yeah, she's one that there's a potential for her to be 1.29 million, I think is what I sort of characterized it at. So I think that's where she's probably going to sit also. But we'll see about that in due course. She could obviously come out and draw 125, and then we're all looking at it going, she's still 1.3 million. That's not going to help. But yeah, she could obviously drop a stinker and then, or finally have a bad game where she doesn't kick a goal or something like that and really struggles. But we'll see how she goes there. So anyway, on to the next questions here. Who's the priority out of Stone or Harris? I think it's Harris. She struggles to score. She struggled to get to like a 50 odd, a 47, where she basically played down back for a quarter and got a lot of her stats there. Whereas Stone, she got to a 55, but the role's still there for Stone from memory. So I think that she's totally fine. Obviously, if I check this and the role has massively changed, then I'd change my tune. But 51% CBAs, she had 27% CBAs, but she only had 55% TOG. So I'm not too worried about that. We know in the women's game, especially if we go to this game itself, if we look at this, it was 40-17. I believe that was 6 goals 4 to 2 goals 5. So there would have been 12 CBAs, I believe. Now, if we look at this and we go to the likes of Hawthorn, 11 CBAs for the game. So she went to 3. Now, if she just so, I'm going to say this and it might not make sense to people, but there is countless times that I've seen in the men's game, let alone the women's game, where some player plays only 30% CBAs because they get stuck on the bench at the just wrong times in a low scoring game. We've seen it before. Let's actually, you know what I can probably use as a example? I'm going to do, where is the CBAs? I want to look at the Adelaide Hawthorn game. I believe it was this, was it this game here? Might have been, it might have been this game here. Jake's, this game actually doesn't look too bad. Let's look at Hawthorn's side of things for this game. They played the likes of Adelaide. You can see here, Josh Ward, 27% CBAs. I don't know whether he was subbing that game or not. Let's actually just double check that, because you may see that Josh Ward wasn't subbing that game at all and played 27% CBAs, his lowest of the year by a country mile, because if we look at the CBA count for that game and look at it, there was 15 CBAs. So you just had random people getting a lot of CBA time. Like Dylan Moore got 33%, etc. in that game. So this is what I'm saying with these low CBA games, because they're low scoring and stuff like that. You have someone like Josh Ward get like 2 or 3 less CBAs than he usually does, because 15 times 27%, I believe, is 4. Let me just double check that. Yes, it's 4. So if he has 2 more CBAs, 6 divided by 15, he goes up to 40%. If he has another, if he doubles it, he goes up to 54%. So you can easily see how that changes. So I think with Stone, I'm more likely to say that she just got stuffed over in a low CBA game. If we just look at this quietly here, you can see 11 CBA, 7 CBA game as well. She was up there. You've seen a 9, a 10. So yeah, I think it is very likely that she just was on the bench at the wrong times and stuff like that. Because if we actually, I can probably try and figure this out for you, which time she was on the bench and stuff like that, because I know she spent quite a fair bit on the bench at one point in the game. Because most of the goals were scored in the third quarter. 3 of the goals were scored in the third quarter, and 2 in the last. If we look at the likes of Stones in the third quarter, she had 79% in the third. Fourth quarter, she had 38%. So she probably missed all 3 CBAs in the fourth quarter. And if we take out those CBAs, she's suddenly sitting at 3 out of 8, which 3 out of 8 is still 45%. So it's not even that bad. And then in the second quarter, she played 23% time on ground. So she most likely missed. And there was 2 goals scored in there. So if you actually look at it, she was probably playing center mid. Most of her time came in the third and first quarter, I believe. And that's when 3 goals were scored out of the 7 for the game. So 3 out of the 7. So she was just probably off for an awkward timing, but maybe that's just me rambling a little bit there. I hope everything is well. Thoughts on Schultz to Strom, Harris to Too Good, Fish to Hoare or Finn? So you've got the 1.1. What is Roberts sitting at? Roberts 1.194. Conti is sitting at 321. Because I was looking at something similar-ish, but not exactly what you're looking at, because you're looking at basically something like this. Let's just go through this. Let's just put Strom in here. Let's just put Too Good in here. And you'd find that for me, at least, I'd have 1.032 million to spend on a player. If we go into all prices, 1 million spent, etc., you can kind of see that for the price that you've got to, where is Hoare at? Let's just see. Hoare's at the 1.109, so I'm guessing you can't get upwards of that to someone else. Well, there isn't really anyone else unless you go really high. So yeah, maybe you can drop a too good down or something like that. Instead of getting too good, you can get someone else. Because for me, there isn't much value getting a too good. Maybe instead of playing a Bogue this round, but maybe that's only 20 points for me. So maybe I'm happy to give up that. But yeah, maybe you can go instead of a too good down to someone like a Kikawak, and then you have that extra 300k, and that extra 300k can get you to a Nanscorn, can get you to the Hanks or the Conti instead. So maybe you can go down that path there. Best rookie this week is Boyd to trade. I'd say Boyd as a trade, 620k. She's had back problems. I don't even know if she'll be back into the side if we go to the AFLW injury list here, and let's just look at the injury list as well for for the likes of North Melbourne. Boyd is still a week away. Garner a test. Bresnahan 2 to 3 weeks away. So if Bresnahan gets back within a week or two, then Boyd probably is potentially on the chopping block. I know she's had a really good start to her campaign, but you go for the North Melbourne would be dumb to probably go for Boyd over Bresnahan coming to the pointier end of the season when they're back, because this is round 6, potentially round 7 that we're looking at, and then you're within 6 games of finals. You're over halfway through the year, so I'd be putting Bresnahan in. If my memory is right, that Bresnahan is a halfback. Let's get rid of you, and go to here and get the likes of North Melbourne up. Just grab you and then go to Bresnahan. So yeah. And also Corey makes a good point here as well that Boyd not playing this week. And I'm guessing that that might be Shannon herself. But yeah, if we just look here quietly and look at this, you'll see Bresnahan in a couple of weeks. And also King not back either. So yeah, there's quite a lot. There's still moving parts. So yeah, it's Fleming. Let's actually just look. Hawthorn, Fleming a test to play again with her knee. I'd probably still give her a week, I think. If we look at they're playing Adelaide, she still put up, she put up 40. It's not the worst, but yeah, I think for me, I think I'm still going to hold on to the likes of Stone for another week over. Fleming probably won't come directly back in. Maybe she will. Maybe that's the thing that I'm missing this week is the likes of Fleming coming straight back in and just destroying the CBA count. She plays 60%. Let's just look at this for the likes of 60%, 41, 29, 46, 44. Like I could see her being added to this rotation here if we look at it. 91% CBAs. That's interesting. Yeah, it will be interesting. Because you got Lucy Wells and Simon split, Sheriff 9%. Hipwell's a little bit of a nagging one that if she wasn't there, there would be a lot more. But she's played CBAs for one game. I don't know why they chucked her on ball in that game, but we'll have to wait and see what happens this week. But I'm pretty content with holding Stone for one more week. I think she's one that can still get the tackles around the ground and could easily pop a goal or two. So I think in a game, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I think she's one that they should be going and using a little bit more in the midfield. But yeah, we'll see what they do. I'm just trying to see Hipwell. 21-year-old forwards. I just don't know why they used her on ball. Like, why did they use her on ball? 41% CBA, 0% ruck times. Confusing. But anyway, yeah, I think I'm going to hold Harris for Stone for another week rather than Harris there. Yeah, Bresnahan is a defender. She came in for Boyd. Yeah, so I think that she will probably come back anyway. Was she playing last week? Is that what you're referring to? Let's just see. Bresnahan here. Round 1, 79%. So she's going to come back soon-ish. I thought I was right in saying that she was out injured, not from round 4, but from earlier. But she'll come back soon, and Harris won't be played, I don't think, then when she's out. So yeah, there's that. We already answered that Stone question. If I want to get off Boyd, I have to field Indy Strom. If I need to get Harris up to Mim Strom, or should I go in fielding a defender and go Harris to Alicia Dowd? Dowd is playing some mid. No, I don't think you can basically go in with any that week for round 2. Yeah, okay, that's what he meant. Okay, with Bresnahan and Boyd, but Boyd, I think you got it. I would much rather if you would go for sort of a rookie on field in the defender line rather than going for these mid prices and hoping they sort of pan out like an O'Dowd, like those there. So I think if you can get like Indy Strom isn't going to do terribly bad. We're talking about like 30 points per game potentially, also on the primos, maybe a little bit less. But yeah, if Indy Strom has a good week, she goes like 45. You burnt like maybe 20, 25 points in a round. And the likes of Strom could easily put that back on quite easily on, like O'Dowd scored what, a 60 or 70, something like that. If we just look at it, O'Dowd's averaging 63 and has scored 84 in her last game. Mim Strom put 34 points on O'Dowd last week. And for most of the week, she's been putting 45, 50 points on. So I think it's almost better to go get Strom, who also has an easier matchup this week. Strom could go 130, 135 this week, like no questions asked, and put 30, 40, 50 points on every other ruck that is in the game. Like that's the worst case scenario for non-Strom owners, that she does do that. Watch Harris kick 4 when we trade her out. Yeah, there's that. I meant Havana Harris in the ruck. Yep, there's that. I might keep Taylor Harris with the easy schedule coming up for her. If we look at her, she's got Port Adelaide. And if we just go to here and look at the fixture difficulty, I don't really understand the fixture difficulty because it still says that Gold Coast is a negative ruck matchup, which anyone that's followed Gold Coast for their games this year, if we just look at them, they have played West Coast in round 1. It was LeKay and McGrath. Round 2, they played Sydney. Moffat went 120 odd. Scholes went 137 or something. And then you've got O'Dowd who went 84. I know that Cos had a stinker of a stinker game because she's just not that good. But I don't think that Cos 12 really counteracts the flow too much. And I think if you were to look at lead rucks against the likes of Gold Coast, they're probably like a plus 10 or so. But yeah, I just don't get that necessarily as much there. Anyway, but yeah, let's just go back to this one here and look at the fixture run for forwards for the next couple games. If we look at it, Nam has a really good run of fixtures for the next 3 to 4 rounds with they've got Port Adelaide, then is that Waliup? Let's just double check that by going to this, because sometimes I don't know the names as well. We are looking for Nam here, or Melbourne. They've got Port Adelaide, West Coast, Gold Coast, and then Essendon. So yeah, they've got a pretty decent run there, you would say, for key forwards. But it's just like, do you want to watch almost Taylor Harris for another week? Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what path I go down. I might just go down and grab, because I could easily do something like this. This is sort of something I've been tossing up for most of the week, I would say. Strom, and then I can get to, I think, Kakawak here, who I brought up. And then also that leaves me with 1.322 mil. And then I can get to someone like a Conti, who has Geelong. I'd have to look at her numbers against Geelong. But yeah, I think she's going to do relatively well no matter who she plays against, because she's just absolutely decimating any competition that she's going against. If we look at her numbers against Geelong, she averages 88 with a top of 107. And yeah, she's gone 112, 98, 118, 117 the last couple of weeks. So there's that, as well as I could potentially go someone like a Roberts as well, who's rather cheap. Let's look at her run as well. If you look at the midfielders and their runs, you'll see that that is that the that'll be West Coast. They actually have a pretty decent run for the next little bit. So the likes of Roberts could actually do really, really well. And I don't expect anyone to really tag her for the upcoming run. So she's one that I could also go to. And then that would leave me with 128k spare. And maybe I could even get someone like a Kowak up potentially. And I'd have to look at the sort of break evens for forwards. But as we noted, there isn't much. But yeah, that's sort of what I'm a little bit looking at. Maybe I could go to a Boyle Carr potentially, who scored a right, made a little bit of cash. There isn't really anyone though. So yeah, I could go down to Rowley as well, but not really looking at that and going, I don't know with Rowley. That's the big question. Could you go Rowley for Zippy Fish for cash generation and Phil Greaves? Paige Scott has a low break even. I don't think I can get to Paige Scott though, because that was 324k for Kakawak and Paige Scott is 505k and I had 120 or so k in the bank. So I couldn't really get to her. But yeah, we'll see what I do. I could potentially do something like this potentially or something. If I go, let's just do some numbers here. Salisbury, let's go to Roberts. Let's go to Roberts here, and then that will leave me 737k. Okay. Okay, and that would leave me. Surely that's not right. Does that doesn't? Oh, that does look right-ish. 730. I'm just thinking of something here. I know that it sounds outlandish, but maybe, just maybe, something like, let's just say outlandish. Let's just say, and I'm not going to do this, but let's just say that I do sort of think about it. Salisbury, that doesn't look right. But anyway, I thought I could do something like that, but it doesn't look like I could. But yeah, yeah, that looks possible, doesn't it? Doesn't it look possible? And then I'd have to get a rookie forward, but I could technically get her in. I'm not going to, but could technically. But yeah, we'll think about options. I could just, as I said, just hold Scholes or something of that regard. Could go something like, wait a second, roll back here. Let's just think through ideas. Harris and then Stone or something. That would leave me 2.88 million, I think. Roberts. Then that would leave me 1. Surely not. No, I can't do that, but I could do this very easily and get that and suddenly have that. Yep. No, I thought something would be off because every time you try and do something on this blinking app, the thing just decides you don't have enough cash or anything of that regard. But if I was to do something of this regard and then get Woodland, and then that would leave me 368k to get a forward of some regard. But yeah, I could do something like that. Yeah, maybe not. We'll see. I haven't made my decision up. I'll probably make it up later, depending on teams and what we get from rookies. We do know a couple of rookies. I just need to try and find the rookies. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the rookies. I know Gold Coast announced someone here. Let me just see who it was that they announced for their AFLW side to debut. Gold Coast, come on, give me Gold Coast Suns. Do you have your AFLW? Because they did announce someone to debut, I swear, but I can't seem to find it. Here we go. Tara Harrington, there we go. I grabbed it finally, which that's, yeah, much needed. Because, yeah, she is debuting, which is good for the cash generation there. Suns have Harrington debuting. Yep, as you see there, that's at least one. Hopefully we get others because we kind of need the cash gen. I don't know who else is, if there is anyone else debuting just yet, but we'll see in 10 minutes or so if someone else is joining her, because we do kind of need some cash generation, much needed. Because it might be time to move someone like a Fish off alongside a Centra maybe, and then maybe, like, realistically, could I do something like this? Just thinking, could I do something like this and go, let's just think about this. Malloy, Woodland. If this works, this might be the way. Not too bad. Not too bad. That would finish off my forward line. That would definitely get me the top forwards for the week. I would have to hold Scholes for another week. But yeah, that could be. Obviously, I'm not going to. There we go. And yes, I would be burning points at M5, but the cash generation there in Salisbury or a debutant there is I'd have 140k spare. So yeah, I'd be able to get the best debutant. I wish I had another like 100k, because then I could hold Stone. But yeah, still got Bogue there. Maybe I could even, what's Bogue break even? But yeah, not having to play Bogue, that could be interesting. But yeah, I think something like this could work for me, but we'll just have to see. That's another one that I could potentially go down the path of looking at. But anyway, is there any other debutantes here? Reedy a mid for Carlton AFLW. Let's just look at this. Is this what they've got, or are they going to just go by their normal AFLFCW? Here we go. As you can see here, Aisling Reedy to debut for Carlton this week. I don't think they're going to have any stats for Reedy on here. Maybe not. Maybe, hopefully, something. Nothing. So I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive, maybe 30 seconds to look and see if there's any stats on her. But I don't think you're going to find much, if any, on the likes of her. Played a little bit of VFLW. Let me just see if stats. I'm pretty sure. Let's just see. Anything VFLW? Do you have anything? Doesn't look like much here. So that kind of sucks. Reedy, do you have anything? Please give me something. Okay, that's not too promising. That is not too promising at all. Just looking at the numbers there, that's not really going to help at all. For cash generation, 7 points, 19, 30, and 28. I don't think that's going to change much there, to be honest with you about that. What I think I could also do, just looking at this, I mean, I could do, what about if I did this, and this, and went too good. And then we went also to the likes of, yeah, she's a Gaelic footballer from what I've seen, because she doesn't have any junior numbers, and that was the only thing that came up was like her full games there. So Hardingham's Bulldog Ruck and VFLW stats is insane. I remember looking at that in preseason. I'm pretty sure, Corey, if you were to bring up a spreadsheet that we had, she was one that was maybe highlighted in gold as a really good option from memory, because I remember there being quite a lot of rucks at the back end of the draft and stuff like that popped up, and I went, we might actually have a rookie ruck, and we've been stuck with Dunlop. But yeah, if I just quickly go through, those are the 3 trade outs, and then go Woodland, how much cash would I have spare? 949k. So you know what I could do, actually? You know what I could do? I've just seen it, and I think that's the week that I want to potentially do it. Is this. Something like this could actually really work. Just depending on what our thoughts were with Rowley, that's something that could actually really work well. So yeah, that could be something that I do. Then I'd have Rowley, Greaves, cash generation, Centra still there, which is annoying, and then have Too Good, But I could also go instead. Because maybe a hold Stone for another week and get and do the other move there. Don't hold Stone instead of going to Too Good, and then go Harris, Fish, and Scholes to the likes of maybe a Malloy, Rowley, and let's actually just show you what I'm sort of looking at. Scholes and then Fish, and then go to a Rowley alongside a Strom and hope that I have the cash to do the other one. I can't get to Malloy, but I can get to Woodland at least and do something like this. That could be an option there. But yeah, that's enough of looking at my team, to be honest with you, for the live stream here. Thoughts on going, here we go. Let's go back to some of these questions here from Zach. Thoughts on going Stone and Bogue for Too Good and Woodland and trade out Libby Fish for a 1 million option. I just don't know if there's a 1 million option that you're really going to like. You're going to have to kind of go up towards that sort of 1.19, 2 million, 1.2 million option to sort of get that range. There's a lot in the 1.3s that I like, the likes of Conti and Hanks. Nanscorn's a little bit more expensive, and then you get into sort of the Garners and Riddells up there. But yeah, I think you're looking, you'd have to probably look at potentially not going a Too Good and dropping down a little bit, even though there's not much in that range. Maybe all it is getting the cash out of Paige Scott again and going down that route, and then using that extra 120K to get to potentially like an Ella Roberts instead of those sort of 1.1 million options, because I just don't know if Kate Hall can back it up after what she did on the weekend. I'm just going to quickly look at Hardington's rookie stats to see if there's nope, that's Isabel Huntington. That's not what I wanted. I want Hardington from, is it this one here? Darcy Hardington? Nope, that's the boys. Brianna Harrington. Why are we not getting her? I need to find her on. Let's just look at it. Nope, that's the wrong Harrington. Where's the Bulldogs ruck? That would probably just be an easier way to look at it. Hardingham. That would be the name rather than Hardington. Oh, man. Hardingham. Here we go. Keely Hardingham. Is that the right one? Is that the right ruck? Am I looking at that? Yes, Keely Hardingham. There we go. Of course, you're not working. Because, yeah, that sucks. Anyway, I think Hardingham from memory is a really good option. Let me just see if I can bring it up on my phone to see if I can find her stats, because from memory, she was really a really good high scorer in her junior campaign. But yeah, she's right now, rookie me seems like it's just dropping out, which isn't the best time to do that. But yeah, I think from memory, she was one that I was really thought she could go someplace about it. But yeah, let me grab up the team lineups for when they do drop. Let's just see. Okay, I can look at the I can look and try and find the likes of Hardingham and see if I can find her stats for you guys quickly here before we get to the teams in 30-40 seconds time. AFLW, where have I got it? AFLW Fantasy stats here. And just try and find the likes of AFLW Fantasy. That's not what I want. Don't save. But yeah, try and it's in this folder. Try and find the stats for you guys on the likes of Hardingham. FLW averages, maybe grab it. Nope, that's the wrong one as well. Too many different ones to look at. But Hardingham, I finally got the right one. Averaged, what did she average? 98.8 in the VFLW, which probably, yeah, that's a really good stat line. So yeah, that's definitely one that's going to score well if she gets the opportunity. Just took a lot of time to actually find where her stats were. But yeah, she's one that I think could do really well. So on to team lists. Sydney versus Collingwood. There's not too much to look at, to be honest with you, as very little change for the likes of Sydney and Collingwood. Mia Martin for Privatelli, not going to be any fantasy impact. And Geordie Allen in for Annie Lee. That's a little bit surprising, but that does mean that that backline for Collingwood does get a little bit better. But still, at least Centra continued to name on ball. Hopefully she has that big breakout game, but we'll see. Because, that midfield for Sydney should beat up on the Collingwood midfield, and that forward line for Sydney should probably smash the likes of Collingwood off the park. But no major changes there for either side. And then for the likes of Gold Coast, Stanton, Milne, Wallace, Randall omitted. Then you have Dersma injured, McKay injured, and Austin omitted. And then Keck, Reedy, and Vickers in as alongside Govan, Rowbottom, and Harrington. That probably means that we're going to see the likes of the halfback flank. Are they? Nope. McLaughlin still named on ball is interesting. Salisbury, etc. That's okay. It's good to see that she's still named on ball at least. McLaughlin there. I'm a little bit surprised about that, to be honest with you. I thought she might get cut from the on-ball brigade there, but at least she's not. She's still on ball, but we'll see her probably still play quite a lot off halfback. Carlton, they haven't changed too much. Hold up. Torpey. Was she named there last week? I'm sorry to go back here and look at the teams last week. Torpey. If we look at Carlton, Mia Austin was named there last week. Interesting. I'd have to look at ruck splits, but that looks off. Let's actually just quickly look at it here. We can look at this, because that is something that's just caught my eye in terms of something being different. If we look at it, Harrington, good, Torpey, and then Mia Austin 0%. So yeah, that's just team sheets being team sheets. We're going to put that down too, rather than anything probably interesting. And then Reedy, as we said, coming in, but probably just, going to be low. Tog you would kind of expect, but we'll see how she goes on the wing. And then Keck, etc. And O'Connell only played like 30% Tog, didn't she? She was like only used in the second half, which was weird. Then for the Port versus Melbourne game, Patterson and Hammond out, and Lamb and Evans in. No changes for Melbourne, which that means that you're going to get Heath on ball again, which is good. That looks like a decent side again. And Port Adelaide, do they have the tall sort of halfback? I mean, Heads is going to have to play tall, you would expect, at 175. Then you got Gomack down there, and Borg's another tall one from memory. Gomack's 177, and then Borg, I'm pretty sure, is 177 or 70. Yeah, 177 as well. So they got the tall timber down back to sort of deal with Melbourne, but Melbourne are probably just going to overrun them in general. Then for the likes of GWS versus the Bulldogs, Butterfin injured, Stevenson and Gavalis both omitted. Then you have Harrington, Barwick, and Ferns playing or coming in. And then GWS, no changes for them. Goldsworthy still named on ball, Howley on the wing, McCormack halfback, centre halfback. And then you've got nothing else really. Huntington and Evans named up forward. And then for the likes of Western Bulldogs, still not much there. Georgia Staff is still named on ball, which is a good thing for those owners. And then Ferrer's going to play probably, I would hazard a guess, as a key forward. Well, not small forward. 164 centimeters, not a key forward. And then you've got Hardingham on the bench, who is probably going to play all of about 30% Tog or something dumb like that. But we'll see about how she goes. And then you have got here as well, Essendon versus St Kilda on the Sunday. Murphy in alongside Brooker, Toogood, and Van Dyke. And then for St Kilda, Stevens, Karras, Plain, Hung, and Clark. That probably isn't a good thing for the likes of Ott if they've got another ruck there alongside her. Because, that probably isn't going to help her in terms of ruck time. And then for Too Good, coming back in, probably going to play more up forward. You would expect a little bit, especially if they've got Adams in the side at half forward. I think she's probably going to take more up the grounds than anything there. And then Nanscorn, Baloney, and the likes of Sparkus in the middle. Then for Richmond against Geelong, Egan, Dempsey, Brennan, and Yassir in. Thorne, Gunjaka, O'Rourke in for the Cats. If we look at the Cats, I just want to see if Thorne's on the bench. She probably doesn't even get in, but we'll see about that. McDonald, Morrison, Prasparkas. At least Piper Dunlop's named. Hopefully she can have a really good run against the likes of Pop Kelly in the midfield. It's the ruck battle there. Conti, Mackenzie, Reeves against the likes of Prasparkas, McDonald, and Morrison will be an interesting battle there. Not too many changes, to be honest, that I'm expecting. I think that they just go 3 in, 3 out almost. Egan's probably the only one that maybe is a change out of anything there, to be honest with you. Then we get to the likes of Hawthorn. They have named Fleming. Have they named her on ball? Hitwell, Bates, and West. They have named her probably off half forward or something, because that's what they always do. Sheriff Butterworth. Nope, they've named her on the bench there. So maybe it is time to get rid of Stone. And then Hitwell named on ball. That's not a good sign for anyone that has Stone. And then for the likes of Adelaide, Hatchard, Marinoff, Goodwin there. And then there's not too much change there. I don't think Ewings, Tarlington, or Martin will make the side, to be honest with you. Then we get to Brisbane. Don't expect too many changes here, obviously, in terms of Brisbane's sake. In terms of the likes of North Melbourne, Garner named, which, that definitely does change things. I think it does mean that the likes of Elise Sheeran probably goes into the back line again now, given that they've got you would expect of their 5 players that it's going to be the top 5 here in Eddie, Wall, Craven, Sheeran, and King. And then, so King is the spare on baller, Sheeran the spare half back again, Craven as well, sort of wing half back, and then Vicky Wall the spare forward alongside Edie, who I believe is another ruck. Could be wrong. Forward 162. So no, she's not a ruck. Who is the spare ruck? It might just be Atalia Randall there as the spare ruck from memory. But that's a massive change having Garner named back in. And then for Fremantle versus West Coast, Craig Lowe injured alongside Lindgren is injured. So there's another forward that we can't even look at. And then for Fremantle, East, Seth, Mulholland, Banfield, and O'Driscoll in. Hooker, Smith, Franklin, Kavanagh in for West Coast, potentially, depending on how they go there. But if we look at West Coast, you'll obviously see McGrath and Lakay there. Rowley named on ball with Painter and Roberts, so that'll be interesting given that they have an overload there. They also have an overload of ruck forwards, etc. They have, just looking at it, they've got the likes of Waitfar. One of them is at least a ruck. McGrath's a ruck, Lakay is a ruck, and Briggs, I believe, is tall enough to be a ruck, 179 centimeters, so she could be a ruck. So they might want to just downsize just a fraction. But that pretty much is that game there, as I don't think too much will impact the main goers and strong bowers from the likes of Fremantle and West Coast. I don't think there's too many changes there that are impactful. Maybe Hooker gets in, but she wasn't even named on field there. So Emma King might not even get in, and she can't even get a game, which is quite crazy. Probably means that she should be potentially looking on next year to try and get to another club that could potentially actually use her. Potentially you could potentially, if Geelong were actually serious, they would be looking at her, but we know that they don't. Or the likes of St Kilda could actually look at her. But yeah, that pretty much is the team sheet there for AFLW for round 5. Not too many major things. I wish there was one little thing that they do in naming the sort of debutantes. They don't do it, like as in this announcement for sort of 25, 50, 75, 100 games, and then the debutantes as well. That would be a nice, easy way to figure out some of the debutantes. But yeah, I think Harrington, I think she's going to do all right. And then I think Hardingham is probably the next if we're looking at junior numbers. And then, yeah, there's a couple of the Irish recruits that are playing that I don't think will set the ground on fire there. And I think, yeah, Hardingham is probably the one that I'd look at the most for potentially scoring points because she could easily chop out Edmonds in the ruck and put on 30, 40 points very, very quickly, just looking at her junior numbers. But yeah, I'll look at trades tonight and probably have a video out late Friday night, depending on when I get home from work and can record that. But yeah, that'll be that. The team, Stone not playing. What are you looking at that she's not playing? Because I swear, where is the likes of Hawthorn here? Where is the likes of Hawthorn? I've lost track of them. Is this just because they're on a Sunday game and it's naming her off the bench? So it's like, yeah, I know what you're looking at here and wondering about. It's going to be like she's not playing. You're seeing this symbol here. This just means that she's on the bench at the moment on the long bench. Selected emergency. That is the dumbest thing that I've ever seen. They need to put an uncertain category for the extended benches, or put an extended bench category, because putting that, it gets everyone every single time because she's still named and she's gonna play. But they have stuffed up the likes of the coding for the key or the legend or whatever you want to call that. But anyway, that is the live stream for the AFLW teams for round 5. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys back for my team reveal for round 5 on potentially Friday, if not Saturday morning, depending on timing. But we'll see you guys there. Bye, guys.